The coking crews worked the coke ovens across the 4 decades that Cokedale mined coal in Riley Canyon. The demand for coke grew steadily throughout those 40 years, especially during the 2 world wars. Who were these men who worked the ovens, raised their families, and turned coal into coking fuel for industry? Like their counterpart miners below ground, they were a rugged group, charged with an arduous job. On July 8, 1942, the coke oven crew gathered together for a group picture. The foreman, Bert Fields, pictured here with his crew, had been in Cokedale since the beginning. He married Mary in 1907 and settled in their newly constructed home on Row G. Later, they moved across the street to House 13F. By World War I, Bert was the assistant foreman of the coking crew and later rose to foreman. He and Mary raised 2 daughters in Cokedale, and Bert remained in charge of coke oven operations until the mines closed in 1947. Some of the other crew tells us a great deal about the coking process and what their roles were along the banks of ovens. Juan Gonzalez's job was coal loader at the ovens. He and his wife, Christina, lived along what is now Spruce Street in House 23H. Alfiero Sanchez was a coal leveler, responsible for leveling coal in coke ovens before charging the load. Alfiero lived next door to Juan Gonzalez with his wife Petra and their 9 children. Ben Johnson was a waterman whose job was to cool down the red-hot coke with water, quenching the fires in the ovens prior to loading the coke out of the ovens into the train cars for shipment to the smelter at El Paso. Ben lived in House 18H with his wife, Maria, and his 3 sons. Fortunato Reno was a machine operator at the ovens. Fortunato is standing in front of the oven machinery. He lived in House 8A with his wife Tressa and his 2 sons. We know the most about Mike Caputo, who lived in Cokedale for many years, but also worked for Colorado Fuel and Iron Company at Del Agua. By the time that he and his wife, Gaetana, moved back to Cokedale with their 6 children in 1941, Mike was working on the oven crew. 3 months before posing for the oven crew picture, Mike registered for the draft at age 47. Everyone in town registered, regardless of age. During these years, Mike and Gaetana's family prospered as the children grew up in the mining camps at Del Agua and Cokedale. When Cokedale closed in 1947, Mike and his family moved to Trinidad and later traveled to California, where they lived out their lives. Generations of Caputo grandchildren and great-grandchildren continue to enjoy the American dream that began for the family in Cokedale so many years ago. So what about the life journeys of the rest of these coke oven men? What roads led from Cokedale to their futures? Did their families find the American dream at the end of their journeys? Did they prosper like the Caputo family? Their continuing stories wait for the historians to record the history that they lived and the world that played out for them in the years that followed. Today, almost all the miners and their families have passed into history. Only a few remember the days when Cokedale was a thriving community, and the American dream that played out in this canyon so long ago. Soon they too will all be gone away. It's worth a few moments to linger among the memories of the lives that played out here during those heady days of mining and life all those years ago.